Welcome to Musicians Hall of Fame Backstage. I'm Joe Chambers. This week's guest is one of my oldest friends, half of the biggest selling country music duo of all time, more ACM and CMA awards than any other country artist, great songwriter, actor, and a dear friend, Kix Brooks. When we come back, Kix Brooks. Kix.
Hey, Joe.
Thanks for coming.
It's so good to be here. My old good buddy.
Well,
I had no idea that you were like a television personality. This is exciting.
I wasn't until just now. But like always, you always come to the rescue for me. I remember you called me from Panama City. How's the guitar shop going? I said, Chet's going to come and play in the parking lot. And you said, can I come too? I went, yeah. And you had Rock My World Little Country Girl was number one.
And you Chet was never going to come.
And
that was a lie.
He came when I told him you were coming. Then he showed up. But you and Chet played out in front of my guitar shop.
Was always his favorite guitar player.
Yeah. That's what he said. And anyway, that was one of my warm, fuzzy memories. But I was just thinking the other day, when did we first meet? And the first time I remember hanging with you, you pulled up in a little sports car. It was at 1984 or 5. It was in the Detroit parking lot. You had that hit record with Nitty Gritty Dirt Band, Modern Day Romance.
Yeah.
And that's as far back as I can go, as far as trying to remember when we first met.
That would have probably been it. We met at Tree. I guess, were you writing? I guess you were writing at Tree at the time, but you started at Gallico, didn't you?
Started with Billy Sherrill and now Gallico.
Yeah, but I knew about you and whatever, and you were writing some cool songs. You were so nice to have gone and looked up whatever hit I might have had at the time, because you had a bunch of stuff going on. I know that, but I just remember.
Modern Day Romance was a huge record, and so then we wrote some stuff together.
We did,
and I dragged you down.
Couple of near misses.
I almost killed your career, and then one day I get a phone call and you go, "Hey, can you get me? Me and my buddy got a record deal. Can you get us some guitars?" And so I was a Fender dealer, and so I said, "Yeah." So I got you some kind of a deal on the guitars on the Brand New Man album.
Wow, I didn't know Fender did deals.
They gave me.
I thought we paid you full retail.
You did me, but Fender gave me a deal. No.
That's the Joe Chambers I remember. Yeah. You're putting quite a. My memory's better than you think. We've been doing this a long time, but you need to be careful.
Well, actually, they did give me a discount, which I did pass along.
What I do remember about that time was that you had a Dylan guitar, and it was. I think it was like 60 grand or something.
I had a salmon pink, 64 Strat that was used on the National Skyline, or something like that. I wish I still had it.
I do too. See, now I'd buy it. I wish you'd hung on to something.
I wish I'd have kept your guitar. Yeah. You had the 70 Sunburst Strat that I sold, that I bought from you or something, and
really?
I was opening the store on West End, and wait a minute. So what? Yeah, the yellow Corvette, and I had a blue 77 Corvette.
That's right.
And we were riding down from my house to the Murfreesboro guitar shop, and there was a school bus in front of us. And I was feeling pretty cool, thinking I had a cool car, and you were in the yellow Vet, and you went on this side of the bus, and I went on this side, and all the kids shifted over to your side and almost flipped the bus over looking at your car, and I had nobody on my side, and I was like, that was, and that's kind of how it's been ever since then.
70s vets aren't real popular, Joe.
I figured, well, when the grammar school kids figured that out for me when they almost tipped the bus over. But
I just remember knocking that stop sign that flipped out off as I went by.
And then that was very much like our careers have been. Everybody flooded to your side of the bus, and I was left by myself over there. But
look at you. I'm so proud of you, man. I remember when you started putting this stuff together. And it was even the Country Music Hall of Fame couldn't get anybody to come in at the time. I mean, you took a huge leap of faith to put a spotlight on musicians, which I always thought was just the coolest thing. And then most people probably know the history if they keep up. You developed that whole thing, put it all together, and then with the growth of Nashville, we're forced to move. And I can't imagine anybody but you having the passion to not just put together the Musician Hall of Fame Awards, but to go to the effort that it's taken to put this thing together. And I got to brag on you. I'm just so proud of you, man, for sticking with it and making this happen. Nobody in the world, and there's a reason there wasn't one before, could have pulled this off.
This is supposed to be about you, Kix.
Well, it can be. You needed your moment here, though, because you deserve
Well, I appreciate it. That's the way. That's the thing about Kix. And I'll just go ahead and say it now. Not just me and other people, everybody knows you. You've never, ever changed. You know, it was fun for me to live vicariously through your success and watch, you just keep going and going and going. And you never forgot who your friends were before you became part of that
I don't
phenomenon.
have that many, Joe.
And that's one thing I've always loved about you. And every time I've ever asked you to help me in the past, and I was going to say, you guys, open up a guitar shop on West End, and I was like, okay, I'm going to have my grand opening the day after the CMAs while everybody's in town. Will you come? And you're like, oh, sure. And so, of all times, you guys win Entertainer of the Year. You're up all night, 10 o'clock in the morning. Here you come with Ronnie pulling up in the front of my guitar shop, and you're the Entertainer of the Year CMA Awards, and everybody's looking around going, what the heck is going on here,
Yeah, Joe's got a new guitar store. That's important.
Well, I kind of, everybody kind of thought, everybody looked at me like, who are you, And then Ronnie's like, and this happened too the same day. James Burton came over to help out, and I look up, and here he comes walking in with Dwayne Eddy. And Ronnie comes over to me and goes, how the blank did you get Dwayne Eddy here? And I went, I don't know, And so I had to pull a guitar off the wall to give it to Ronnie. I guess he still got it that Dwayne signed for him.
Oh, yeah.
Because I heard he did an interview one time when he was talking about that. But anyway, so you guys are modern day romance. You're having your success as a songwriter. I'd see you on the Ralph Emery show playing and gigging all over the country and by yourself.
Well, I actually had a solo deal, and Ronnie did too. I mean, that's what a lot of people don't realize. I mean, I've been in town writing songs for a living for 10 years. When we met, and Cook and I wrote this song called Lost and Found.
Don Cook.
Don Cook. And we had written a bunch of songs, and we were just, having fun, had some success. We had a hit on Who's Lonely Now on Highway 101 back then. And anyway, I thought it'd be good for Alan Jackson. Tim Dubois sound him over at Arista, and so sent it over there. And he came back and said, man, I'm interested in you as an artist. I said, okay. And after my Capitol deal hadn't worked out, I'm like, this is really a struggle. I mean, I was 36 years old at the time. It's like, didn't work, no big deal. I love writing songs. Love this town, whatever. That's what you do. You just keep jamming whatever you can do to scratch out something in this town.
We all do it because we love it,
Yeah.
and we would do it for free.
And it's so funny to sidebar so many young people now. What's your advice? I go, it's like, I've got this many socials, this, that. I said, have you got a band? Are you gigging?
Yeah.
I mean, do you love doing this? Because we played all the time. It's like every day, whether we wrote a junker or not, we were somewhere banging on our guitars, singing to each other. Anyway, I said, well, what are you talking about? So he goes, come on, I want to buy you enchilada. I said, great. So he's got this guy, Ronnie Dunn, and he'd actually played me. He cut Boot Scootin' Boogie on Asleep at the Wheel. But it was a real swing piece. It was like, out in the country past the city limit sign. And there's, it wasn't that hard driving 2-beat like Ronnie and I play most of the time. And I said, well, God, that's a good song, And he had written Neon Moon, too. I said, well, that's a good song. I said, God, he's got a unique voice. It wasn't really from his demos, I couldn't tell how good a singer he was, And anyway, so we met, and Tim's like, boys, I got a boy singer already. I don't need another one of those. And he'd already signed Pam Tillis was his girl. He wanted one of everything. He had Diamond Rio was his band, and he wanted a duo because the Judds were breaking up. Especially, he's like, "There's a slot there if you guys will do it." And Ronnie and I are like, "I don't know, man. Just
Because you didn't know each other.
No, we met on a Tuesday. He convinced us, said, well, you're both good songwriters. He said, do me a favor, just don't do anything else, just write a song for me. Would you do that? And we're like, whatever, that's how we do it here. Modern Day Romance, Dan Tyler and I, it's the only song we ever wrote together, it's a number when it happens sometimes.
Yep, right.
So we got together and we wrote Brand New Man on Thursday. On Friday, I wanted Ronnie to meet Cook because we were writing so many songs together. I said, let's all of us write one together. And we went over there and wrote Next Broken Heart, and Brand New Man wasn't quite finished. So we played it for Cook, and he goes, we kind of hung up in the chorus. He goes, how about Born to Love Again? I said, Born to Love Again. And we went, that's a third. So we finished those two songs the same week we met. And those were our first two #1 records. And then, we demoed them, took them to Tim, and he jumped up and down and said, guys, you got to do this. Let's make a record. And we did.
What I remembered, and this has been years ago, is that you were like, y'all wrote these songs and you took them to pitch them to him to record them. And what I remember he had heard was that he goes, yeah, I'm going to cut these. And you're like, on who? And he went, you. Is that true?
Not really.
Not really?
Nah.
Okay, scratch that. That's a lie I've been telling for years.
Well, it's funny because Ronnie and I, we do interviews together all the time. And we have these two completely different stories on how things happened. It's so funny. This many years later, we have completely different memories. That people ask us, how'd you write this song? And he'll tell his story. I go, okay, here's what really happened, know. And it'll tell mine. And we both just have, in your brain movie, you just get things, and especially after you tell a story for a while, you really start believing it. And you have the clear picture in your mind of it happening. It's just, that's the way life is. That's the way your brain works.
Well, it's like...
that's how I remember it. That's the long end of that story.
Johnny Cash tells everybody that Christopherson landed a helicopter in his yard.
Oh, yeah.
So
Chris tells it totally different.
Well, I asked him, I said, I had the opportunity to put it to bed. Did you really land your helicopter in Johnny's yard? And he's like, man, I really hate to bust this bubble, but man, they got radar. If I'd have gone down, I'd have lost my license and everything else. I was flying for the... And then I've got this on film. 6 months later, he's on TV still telling that, yeah, I landed out in Johnny's yard. Because nobody wants to know that. They want to hear the...
I did the same thing. I interviewed him for the Countdown show.
Yeah.
And that's what I said. Well, so what did you pitch him Sunday morning coming down? Because that's what Cash... That's how he told it,
Yeah.
And Chris said, no. I go, well, what song was it? He goes, I don't remember. It wasn't, whatever it was, he didn't cut it.
Yeah. But as far as anybody is concerned, including them, but he said Johnny ended up believing it anyway.
Yeah.
So you guys, Tim, you write these songs, which almost looks like it was just meant to happen, especially writing those the same week. What happened after that? I mean, it wasn't just that easy, was it? I mean, there was a lot of work involved.
We had a bunch of songs already written. I mean, he did, we did, even for the first two albums, because we were songwriters. I mean, me and Cook had a bunch of songs written that we were pitching. I mean, it comes to that point, it's like you go, okay, now you've got a deal. did you really think they were good enough for somebody to record, or were you
Right.
pitching them around, you know?
Yeah.
So anyway, we did. So those first 2 records, we wrote everything. And it really kind of was that easy, which was so weird. It had a lot to do with, I think, why Ronnie and I stayed together 20 years, because neither one of us had believed in this idea at all. It was just too weird. We didn't know each other from Adam. We're not some high school buddies or something.
And you're opposites, aren't you?
We're total opposites, and we never performed together ever. So we got this deal. Brand New Man goes straight to #1 in like 12 weeks or something. We're on an airplane doing a radio tour, and the pilot comes on and said, "Hey, we got 2 new guys on the plane, by the way, whose record just went to #1. That's how we found out. Janine, Ronnie's wife, had found out and somehow called a control tower or something. They called the plane and announced it. And we're like, wow, we hadn't even started touring, but we booked all these bars. We did, I think it was 233 is what I remember. It was well over 200 dates. Just the creepiest beer joints you can imagine. The same stuff
With the #1 record.
that 15 people didn't used to come to. We were still doing them when we had 4 #1 records, and it was the most exciting time probably for us through our entire career, even when we were, selling out coliseums and like, who cares?
But it gave you a chance to kind of get it together. in
We
some
did
small
kind of
places.
get it together, and coming up, you turn the corner on so many bars where there's like 4 cars in the parking lot, and you drag your speakers in there and you're setting up while a few drunks are sitting on some stools, and you're like, here's another one of these deals, and it was just so much fun. You couldn't even get your bus in there. Of course, we were all the bus band. Our crew, which was, 2 guys with some T-shirts and a bunch of beer. But that we were all on the same bus, but you turn the corner and you'd have to park your bus down the street, and get somebody to come take you down, because it was just, everything was packed. It just made you feel like Elvis. It was so much fun.
Of course. And so were you like doing the little clubs and the concert? When did they
No.
ever cross? or- So
We-
you finished those and then you went,
We honored all our commitments, but we were at a pretty hot point in our career. In any of our days off, big acts were, I say big acts, and they were Vince at the time, Straight, Reba, and we sold out, popped a few big ones with Reba, so she put us on our first tour that next year. So we were opening up for her. We're actually in the first slot. We got 10 minutes on the very front of the stage, and like Travis Tritt, I know, was in the middle on some of those, and some other acts like that were having some success. But we were just so new, but we were still catching a big old wave, real fast. So it was kind of fun. For 10 minutes, we just give it hell, and then we're off. We're drinking again.
when did you headline the shows?
It was 93. Yeah, that was 91, 92. We were kind of opening. It was funny because Reba and her husband at the time, Norval, who was managing her, I'll never forget, they came in our dressing room about 5 dates in, and they go, "Hey guys, we've never done this before, but we really think you're about to be a big success, and we want you to stay friends, and we really like you all a lot. So anyway, we're doubling your pay, and just wanted to tell you." So they walked out and went, "Well, that was cool." I think they thought we were going to be mad at them as soon as we found out how much money we could make doing this, But it was cool. And then it wasn't in '96. We co-headlined with her. We had, I think we had 19 buses and 21 semis full of stuff. Garth must have been off that year, because I think it was the highest grossing country music tour ever at the time.
Right after you guys had hit, somebody called me that knew we were friends and said, "We want to book Brooks and Dunn for our convention. Would you call Kix and see if you could?" I said, "Okay, well, what do you have, We got $35,000. I went, "Okay." I didn't know what you guys were doing, so I called Jeff. I said, "Hey, Kix, this guy wants to book you guys for 35 grand. And you were real nice, and you said, "Man, we can't even crank up our trucks for 35 grand. And I'm like, "What?" So
It's expensive.
I know. I mean, and so
Too much stuff.
Gary Talent, you know Gary Talent.
Uh-huh.
He was in the other day, and I was going to ask you the same thing. I said, you know, Gary came in here, and we went upstairs, and we had just moved into this location, and I was thinking, oh, I'm going to show off the 10,000 seat arena upstairs. And I said, check it out. And he goes, yeah, this is quaint. I went, what do you mean quaint? And he goes, I'm sorry, dude, man. We're used to playing 80,000 seat arenas in Europe. And so I asked him the same thing. What's harder, 200 people or 80,000 people?
Well, it depends on where you're at. And it's funny because a question a lot of people ask, don't you miss that intimate experience in a bar or whatever like that? And man, for years, there's nothing intimate about playing in a bar, even if it's full. They're not there to see you. I mean, I'm not talking about if you've had hits and stuff. I'm just talking about for 10 years before I got to Nashville, you're just beating up bars, and everybody's there to, guys are there to pick up girls. Everybody's there to drink. You're just background music at best, and it's just chaos everywhere. I mean, it's fun if you're, 20 years old, but it's still just, it's just chaos. But if you're in a 15,000 seat Coliseum, and they all bought tickets to see you, they really care about your music. They've been listening to your album, and they're really excited to be there. When you play a ballad in a big room like that and everybody settles down and you have everyone's attention, that's intimate, So it just depends on the situation. It's really hard to compare the two. I mean, what's really fun for us, like when we were doing the Neon Circus tour, and Toby and Montgomery Gentry, Keith Urban were all out with us, even Brad Paisley. When we get done with our concert that night, after we're all done, we'd load up our buses and we'd already have the best bar honky tonk around, club, the biggest one with the best house band, and we go play they ran us out of there every night. After every show, it's like, where are we going tonight? So it was show after show, and that was fun. To go into a club when they're excited to see you and they know you're in town, but you surprise them anyway.
But you didn't have stage fright with 30, 40,000 people out in front of you?
No, I don't have enough sense to get scared.
Well, Gary
we
was
played
saying,
these songs a lot, It's like, and at some point in your career, you realize, this isn't dangerous. I shouldn't say that because we have had a case where it was, but as a rule, you're just playing music, and they love you. That's the thing, or they wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
So they paid money to see it. Unless you're just being a jerk or something, being weird, or you're too drunk or something. People will go with you, and if you screw up, it's live, and you make fun of yourself because you're not perfect. You're going to have nights where you don't remember a lyric, or you fall off the stage, or whatever happens, you fall down. It's real. That's why people go. You can see the video if you want something that's perfect, but otherwise, we're going to have some fun out there tonight, and there's no telling, clumsy as I am, what might happen.
Hey, we'll be right back just one second.